We are both 29 years old and have been married for 6 years. I own my own business, and she has been a dedicated teacher since we met. We both come from wonderful families, but our parents tend to conceal problems in their own marriages. We have a 2-year-old son and work equal hours every day of the week on household chores such as cooking, cleaning, and laundry. I handled almost everything, and she agrees with the arrangement. We both share the responsibility of caring for our son. However, she has been struggling to connect with him in a motherly manner, as if there is a missing bond between the two. I believe it is because she works too much, but I have always supported her career, which she is very passionate about. In February, we learned that we were pregnant. We were absolutely thrilled. We've always wanted to have 2 children with a 2-year age gap, and to make it even better, she is expecting a girl. Let's fast forward to the end of March 20th, 23. A colleague of my wife, who is also a close friend of ours, told us a ridiculous rumor. According to this rumor, a high school girl claimed that my wife's baby belonged to her father. We found it so ridiculous that we just laughed it off. Interestingly, the father and wife involved in this rumor are close friends of ours. He is a member of the school board. They are roughly the same age as my parents and grew up together in a small town. It's worth noting that my wife and he had frequent conversations and text exchanges, mostly about his daughter's projects, which my wife oversaw. This is fairly common in her line of work, particularly because she works with animals. A week later, my wife and I went out to dinner with the father and his wife. The rumor joke came up again, but this time I had a strange feeling. I didn't laugh it off as I usually would, and the conversation quickly shifted to something else. It did not consume my thoughts, but it remained in the back of my mind for the rest of the evening. Later that night, around 2 a.m., I decided for the first time to check my wife's phone. I was shocked to discover text messages and evidence of their emotional affair. They were saying, "I love you" to one another, and I discovered bits of deleted conversations in which they discussed her leaving me. There were even a few explicit photos. She had sent him these messages and images 6 months ago. Despite my intense emotions, I remained calm and took screenshots as evidence, which I then texted to myself. When my wife awoke, I confronted her with what I had discovered, and she immediately began crying and apologizing. She assured me that our baby was unquestionably mine, and she claimed they had only been close once after she became pregnant. Ha, that is correct. This 57-year-old man is unattractive and overweight, but he appears to have the ideal family. It disgusted me just thinking about it. She claims he pursued her and she never wanted anything physical to happen. Yes, right again. According to her, we had grown apart and she believed my work was more important to me than she was. I could say the same about myself, possibly even more so. I had taken on the role of homemaker, sacrificing my work and time to spend more time at home with our son and care for the household. During the 6 months she was cheating, I took her on 3 trips overseas. I was open with her and expressed a desire for us to spend more time together. However, she would frequently work unreasonably long hours away from home. Now let's return to the present. My parents are aware of the situation and they believe we should try to resolve it for the sake of our children. We live in a small town. We tend to conceal anything negative or imperfect. That is simply the way things are in the Bible Belt's conservative and religious atmosphere. We're expected to put up a good front and maintain the appearance of a perfect family that never divorces. To her credit, she has been doing everything possible to repair our relationship. She quit her job and cut all ties with the other person. She has not made any excuses or shifted the blame solely to me. She genuinely wants us to work things out and is distraught at the prospect of me leaving. She claims that all she wanted was my attention during the entire ordeal. Here's the situation. She gets to have me. Her dependable and problem-solving rock will maintain the appearance of a perfect marriage and family to the outside world. Her family and friends are completely unaware of what has occurred. Meanwhile, she can continue to enjoy the thrill of her secret affair, the full extent of which she is unaware. She does not act motherly towards our son. Our bedtime routine is terrible. I constantly have a strong desire and make an effort, but she's just not into it. It's only in the bedroom on specific nights, and there's never anything new or exciting. She is loyal to our relationship. Whatever money she earned, she spent on clothes while I handled the bills and savings. I worked hard to build a successful business, but I've lost motivation and passion for it. Dealing with the stress of my job and her behavior has become overwhelming. I don't have anyone to talk to about it. I find myself wanting a divorce. I plan to sell my business and liquidate my assets and properties. I considered restarting my life 1,500 miles away and even joining the Air Force. However, I understand that this drastic decision is not always the best solution. Update. Here is what happened. I spoke with a lawyer whom a good friend of mine recommended. I told him the entire messy story. He listened, then suggested that I get a divorce. He explained that if your name appears on the birth certificate, you are obligated to pay child support, even if the kid is yours. The same applies if you are married when the baby is born. These words stayed with me. I walked inside the house. She was sitting on the couch. I gave her the papers and told her I wanted a divorce. She stared at the papers, her eyes wide and terrified, her lips trembling. She collapsed to her knees, crying uncontrollably, but her pain was music to my ears. I enjoyed watching her laugh, and I told her that I would raise a child who was not my own. I had an excellent lawyer who guided me through everything. I kept my house and my business, and based on the evidence I had, I owed her nothing. The court even granted me full custody of our son. She was devastated. Suddenly, she was a single mother with a child. No one else wanted the guy. She had an affair with someone who chickened out, claiming he has his own family. He, like her, was simply looking for a good time, and when things got serious, he split. I felt relieved. When the divorce was finalized, it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off of me. I started focusing on my son and my business, trying to get my life back on track, and I can't lie. There was some satisfaction in watching her deal with the consequences. Today, I rebuilt my life from the ground up. My business is thriving again, and I found my motivation and passion. My son and I are closer than ever, and I'm grateful for the life we share. She believes she is dealing with the consequences of her decisions, such as raising a child alone. Months passed, and I began hearing stories about my ex-wife from friends we both knew. She appeared to be struggling with all of the new tasks she was required to complete on her own. She wasn't just a single mom anymore, she was also struggling with finances and bills. One night, a good friend informed me that she was having trouble paying her health insurance. I couldn't help but smile slightly. In a strange way, it appeared that she was getting what she deserved. If you're going through something like this, remember that it will get better. You must stay strong and believe in the process. Get help if you need it. But don't let anybody walk all over you. I learned the hard way, but I'm happier and more satisfied than ever. Remember, we all deserve to be happy and peaceful. If a relationship brings out the worst in you, it is best to leave and start over. Second story. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure where to begin with this post. I'm a 21-year-old man who grew up in what I assumed was a happy and loving family. There was no indication of trouble or unhappiness. However, in August 2020, my father, 54, caught my mother, 50, having an affair with her high school boyfriend. Just 2 weeks later, my father made the decision to divorce. On August 18th, while driving my younger sister to her first year of college, my parents informed her of the divorce. I found out a few hours later at home. It was a very unexpected and shocking revelation. 2 days later, I departed for my second year of college. The entire experience was extremely traumatic because I only had a few days to process everything. Before leaving the home where I had grown up for 17 years, never to return again. By the end of September, they had sold the house, and I doubt I'll ever go back. Since August 19th, 2020, my sister has not spoken with my mother in the months following the divorce. My father decided to relocate to the same town where I attended college, and I moved in with him. Some might find this arrangement unusual, but my father and I have always had a close relationship, so it made sense for both of us. I'm very grateful that things turned out this way. My father has made an incredible recovery and appears to be content with his life. Our relationship has grown stronger, and I have no doubt that it will continue to be so. We go skiing or biking together several times per week. On the other hand, attempting to repair my relationship with my mother has presented significant challenges. It was a difficult journey for me in the beginning. I'd call my mom, but our conversations were mostly about the affair. I'd end up yelling at her and asking her tough questions about why she ruined our lives. What exactly did you expect to happen? However, my mother is generally quiet and reserved, and she often portrays herself as the victim in any confrontation. This has been extremely stressful for me, both at the time and now. When I tried to find closure or have an honest conversation with her, she would dismiss it by saying, "It doesn't matter, it's already in the past." I bring this up to emphasize how shocked and caught off guard we were by the entire situation. Despite everything that has happened, I still make regular phone calls to my mother, usually once or twice per week. We mostly have casual conversations, avoiding discussing the painful events we went through. During this time, I was also receiving therapy at school, which helped me develop a better understanding of myself. I discovered that I am on the autism spectrum while in therapy. I also learned mindfulness techniques, which helped me let go of the need to constantly question why my mother did what she did. Surprisingly, these insights helped improve my relationship with her in some ways. At the very least, my mental health and ability to deal with my trauma and ASD improved significantly. I stopped attending therapy when I graduated in June 2021. Then, in May 2021, my mother called to tell me that she had decided to give away my 2 childhood dogs to a family we had never met before. Naturally, this dealt a severe blow to my already strained relationship with my mother. Technically, I could have taken them and brought them with me to Colorado, where I now live, but it would have had a significant impact on the lifestyle I've worked so hard to achieve. I still believe that because my mother was the one who disrupted the dogs' lives in the first place, she should be responsible for their care. She would never admit it, but the real reason she gave them away was that she had moved to a fancy apartment in a posh part of town and didn't want to move to a place with a backyard, even if she could afford it. Naturally, the apartment environment was extremely stressful for our dogs, who require a lot of attention and have always had direct access to a backyard. Last summer, I paid them a visit at their new home, and it was extremely upsetting for me. Although I was glad to see them, it was heartbreaking to see them displaced from where I believe they belong. I'm sharing this now because, while my relationship with my mother has improved slightly over the last year and a half, I still feel like I haven't fully dealt with the trauma I experienced. It appears that my mother is fine with avoiding the difficult conversations that are necessary to truly heal our relationship. When I try to discuss uncomfortable truths or ask her difficult questions, she always portrays herself as the victim of an unfair situation. She also attempts to manipulate my perception of what occurred, downplaying her own responsibility and dismissing the legitimacy of my feelings for her. I still love my mother and want to rebuild a healthy relationship with her. However, she doesn't seem to understand that I can't just ignore all of these feelings and pretend to trust and respect her again. She destroyed everything that was most important to me, and after everything was broken beyond repair, she took away the one thing that remained pure and unaffected by the affair. My childhood, pets, and I also ruined it. I am overwhelmed with grief over the loss of my family. I miss my mother, our dogs, our house, my old life, and so much more. I frequently have nightmares in which I am betrayed by those I love. I'm constantly thinking about why she did this to us, exhausting myself while trying to understand. I struggle to accept that she is a bad person. I'll be honest and admit something I'm not proud of. I frequently find myself struggling with feelings of hatred for women. My fear is that because of my family trauma and Asperger's, I will be unable to have a healthy romantic relationship or start a family of my own. In short, despite having gone through therapy and communicating with my mother on a regular basis, I still don't feel completely healed. The openness and trust that I so desperately need from my mother appear impossible to achieve. I'm constantly wondering if it's truly worthwhile to maintain a relationship with her. What do you guys think? Is it reasonable for me to be angry and conflicted? If you were in my shoes, would you have given your mother a chance? How would you approach developing a new, healthy relationship with your parent? I genuinely love her and want to be close again, but I sometimes wonder if this is just wishful thinking. I would greatly appreciate any feedback or insights you may have. Third story. My wife and I have been married for nearly a decade. We are both in our mid-30s. Several years ago, she decided to return to college to pursue a master's degree. We both agreed that it was a good idea. Our marriage was wonderful, and we were both very happy. It was the best period of my life. However, when she began her studies, everything changed. With all of her coursework, her life became busier. After a few months, I noticed a difference in her behavior. She would stay out later than usual, studying at the university library or getting together with classmates for group projects. Every now and then, she would have to return to the office late at night because she had forgotten something. I had some suspicions, but no concrete evidence. She always had a reasonable explanation for everything. I even checked for inconsistencies, but there was nothing. It all seemed normal, and I assumed I was being overly suspicious. One Saturday morning, while checking my emails on our shared computer, which she occasionally used for homework, I noticed she had failed to log out of her account from the previous night before logging out. I noticed a number of emails from people I didn't recognize. Curiosity got the best of me, so I decided to check her Facebook and Instagram pages to see if she was friends with this person. There's no sign of him. That's when I Googled his name and discovered he was her college professor. He was 50 years old, married, and had 3 teenage children. Everything seemed normal in his family life, and I didn't think much of it. The emails that they exchanged appeared innocent. I remembered my college days when I frequently communicated with professors via email. After that incident, I saw nothing suspicious and dismissed my previous concerns. Once again, I thought my concerns were unfounded. Life gradually became more manageable. My wife had settled into her studies, reducing stress and busyness. We spent more quality time together and even started building our own home. Life appeared to be going smoothly, with no major issues. However, little did I know that a nightmare was about to begin. One Thursday, I decided to surprise my wife by arriving home early to take her out to dinner at a new restaurant. While driving down our street, I noticed a car leave our driveway. It piqued my interest, and as we passed each other, I instantly recognized the driver. Her former college professor was full of curiosity and concern. I dashed inside the house and discovered my wife in the kitchen, only wearing a towel. When she saw me, she looked shocked and struggled to find words. At that point, I couldn't help but wonder why her professor had just left our house and why she was dressed like that. She tried to dismiss it, saying I was overreacting and that nothing had happened. So I went straight to our bedroom, while she attempted to intervene and stop me. When I entered the room, it was painfully clear what had happened. Determined to learn the truth, I made it clear that if she didn't come clean, I would contact his wife and inform her of everything. Finally, she couldn't take it any longer and broke down, confessing everything. They had been having an on-and-off affair for 3 years. According to her, it all began after she completed his class that semester. However, she claims that he brainwashed her and that she never wanted the relationship. She emphasized his position of authority, even though he was no longer her professor, and claimed that she had been duped into a 3-year physical relationship. It's been a week since I learned everything. The next morning, while my wife was at her parents' home, I moved my belongings and contacted a divorce lawyer. It feels like I'm going through the motions, completely detached from reality. My wife hasn't stopped reaching out to me, texting, calling, and emailing, pleading for forgiveness and another chance. Even her family has tried to contact me in an attempt to persuade me to give her another chance. But today, I finally took the step of blocking her and her family from all communication channels. Fortunately, I have an amazing support system of people who have been extremely helpful. Next week, I intend to schedule an appointment with a therapist to begin the healing process. I understand that it will take time to recover, and deep down I know I deserve better than the people who treated me. I appreciate each and every one of you who listened to the story today. If you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe, if you haven't already. Additionally, please leave a comment below reflecting on what happened. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have a story to tell about your own or another person's situation. Take care.